Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long Bros 1975. A using girls on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends. But Long Bros 1975.
Hey YouTube, Longboys Post 1975. Seems a little bit sort of a long time that I've talked about my favourite movie of all time. Anyone who watches my channel, you know, regularly will know that it's Back to the Future. It's the greatest movie of all time. Taste is subjective, but I'm sorry people, it's the greatest movie of all time. I walked into that theatre, well, that cinema as we like to say over here on this side of the pond, from day one, and I don't know how many people have been lucky enough to be touched by a movie as I was by that. It's weird that I say that, touched by a movie, because you could argue that there are better movies, you know, more important, poignant, uplifting stories about humanity, mankind, that you should walk away with a message from. But I watched Back to the Future. God bless my mum. She's got 3 boys. I'm a twin brother. I've got an older brother. And she took us, you know, downtown because we saw the trailers all over TV, and I do remember as a child not being able to get my head quite around what this concept was, which is you've got to go back to the future, but aren't you in the future? So how would you have to go back to the future? Bear in mind, people, I was 9, but you know, I just remember walking into that theatre as a kid and walking out and just going, God damn it, that's the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life. And I have a top 10 list of movies that I hold dear to my heart, I love and I adore. And this is a bold statement, but I stand by it, which is no time in my life have I ever watched excuse me, I'm winding up, a movie that has ever made me walk out of the theatre. I've walked out of the theatre, or the cinema I should say, and said, you know, like, that was brilliant, I learned something. You know, I've got to delve into the history books and learn something about that. Or I've walked out and just went, that was absolutely amazing. Or, you know, it could be cheesy and crass in just pulp, but I've walked out and just went, that was the most enjoyable movie ever. But no movie ever, and I mean this, I swear to God, hand on heart, try not to hit my chest there, I walked out the theatre that day, and I've never done since, and just went, that's the greatest movie I've ever seen. You know, I know those of us, particularly like me, who, you know, retro, you know, love and video games and stuff like that, build stuff up in our minds, but I can honestly, sincerely say that nothing has ever come close to the experience of seeing Back to the Future in the cinema. It's the reason I bought a Blu-ray player, you know, so I could see the cleaned up version, you know, with all the extra new special features, you know, that Michael J. Fox and the cast, you know, did. And I saw it when they put it on the anniversary in the cinemas back in the day, well, you know, a few years ago, prior to me buying a Blu-ray player. And I loved and adored it. It's such a strong part of my life. That may sound like a bold statement, it sounds stupid, but that's the questions down there, you know. What movie is your movie? What movie just uplifts you? Because, you know, it's been a crap week. I'm not going to go into details and stuff like that. But what is your go-to movie? What is it when you're having a bad day that you can guarantee, you can promise that one movie you put on just, you know, just makes the day better for those 2 hours or so. Your problems just drift away, and it's eclipsed by this amazing spectacle that just. This is what I love about Back to the Future, that all the time I watch it, it still feeds into my brain knowing exactly what's going on, but I've still got that pensive state, you know, that sense of excitement, that sense of thrill and wonderment, and not knowing if he's going to go back in time, and not knowing if Doc Brown is going to believe that he's this kid from the future. How many movies can you watch as many times as I've watched that? And it's a fucking lot, that you still get that thrill. And this is the point I'm trying to make. That thrill is still there, that little, you know, spark of excitement, of anxiety on your chest, good anxiety, that you got when you saw it from day one. So, you know, first of all, I have to thank my mum for, you know, putting up with us when we were kids and taking us to the cinema in the summer holidays and watching stuff like this. Anyway, enough about that movie. I want to talk about the scene, but yeah, Back to the Future is the greatest movie ever made, according to me. DeLorean is the greatest car ever made, apart from the fact that it's an unreliable piece of shit with a dodgy French engine, bad mechanics, bad electronics, but there's no denying it looks wonderful. And I technically in my collection right now own 24 variants of the DeLorean, including the wonderful time machine that my girlfriend bought me that's remote control. But I don't dare drive because I don't want to wear the motors out because it looks so purdy. But no, specifically about this video, I want to talk about what's that one scene that everyone has a scene in a movie that just makes the hair on the back of the neck stand up, you know, just raises their pulse ever so slightly. You know, a movie, or sorry, a scene that if you own the movie on DVD or Blu-ray, you can watch it whenever you want, but whenever it's on TV, you will watch it. And even if you don't, if you're outside a room and you can hear the music coming from within that room of the particular scene that just ignites, you know, like the fire in your belly, or just the passion in you, I guess, the retro passion, you will make a point of stopping and peering in through the door and leaning on the door, you know, frame and watching it, and then making really random quotes to everyone else in the room, you know, explaining what the scene is about. And that scene to me is Johnny Be Good. Johnny Be Good in Back to the Future is absolutely amazing. Obviously, you know, I'm preaching to the converted. Hopefully, Michael J. Fox gets a man, you know, placed out of time. Inadvertently, you know, or accidentally I should say, he kind of interrupts his own time stream, which is he has to, you know, make his parents fall in love again. So he ends up in the enchantment under the sea dance, and he has to play, you know, guitar on stage, which is incredibly, and this is what I love about this scene, it's incredibly relevant and poignant because he never got a chance to play in his band in front of his high school, you know, I was going to say back in the day, but back in the future. Oh, there we go, I get the title, see what I did there? And so he was always that kind of, you know, nervous about playing in front of crowds and stuff like that, but, you know, he's fixed the trouble, sorry people, spoilers, he's fixed the troubles of his past and shit like that, and, you know, or his future. Wow, I love talking about time travel movies because they perplex your mind. Perplex, that's the word of the day. So he goes on stage, he finishes Earth Angel, you know, his parents, you know, kiss, and he gets the chance to, you know, hey, let's do another one. And he gets a chance to, you know, to play. And it's just, it's got fumbling at the start, but it's just one of the most emotive scenes I've ever seen that just always just makes me smile. You know, if I walk by a TV store and it happens to be on roll, you know, on the you know, 'cause, you know, when people put DVDs in the players so you can see it in the TVs on the shop window and stuff like that, I will stop and I will watch that scene because it feels like I cannot pass it. It would be rude and insulting. It's just one of the most amazing scenes ever. Witty, intelligent, and just there's so much passion in it. And obviously Michael J. Fox did play it. He did sing, you know, kind of a watered down version of the song, but then if you've seen the Chuck Berry, because obviously it's based on Chuck Berry, if you've seen some of the versions he's done, he has actually sang that version at some point. Shame on you, Michael J. Fox, for doing a duet with Coldplay on this, but that's just me, I don't like Coldplay. But it's just that bit on the stage when he goes like, hey man, let's do another one. And he's like, you know, and the microphone whines, goes, hey, this is an oldie. Well, it's an oldie where I come from. Then he turns around to the band, which, if I'm going to poke holes in this movie, I shouldn't do this because I love this scene. He just goes, what's it, you know, okay guys, this is rhythm and blues, you know, timing, watch me for the changes, and I love this cocky stance, and try and keep up, okay? And he turns around, and that to me at least the most my most iconic moment in a movie ever, when he turns around and he starts strumming that iconic riff. It's absolutely fantastic. And then obviously as the scene goes on, then it's, you know, he gets his courage, he gets his Dutch courage up, you know, and he starts kind of doing what, because in the future he's in a metal band, or, you know, well, then in the 80s it would have been like, you know, like Huey Lewis, it was kind of like a rock band of the 80s, a hair band if you will, even though he had a better haircut than everyone did in a hair band in the 80s. And he gets more confident, his confidence builds, it grows, and then he starts doing, like, you know, crazy heavy metal shit from the future, but not before Chuck's cousin Marvin, who's in this band, which is a wonderful reference, phones Chuck Berry and says, hey Chuck, it's your cousin Marvin Berry, you know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this. So technically Marty McFly invented modern rock and roll, but and that's the point when it just turns into heavy metal, and it's just wonderful that one scene can completely lift and help me out of a bad day. It's my most iconic moment in a movie ever, and it's just that bit when he tweaks it at the end and just goes, I guess you guys aren't ready for that, but you kids are gonna love it. just, that to me is the greatest moment in cinematic history. Yes, is it a war movie? No. Is it, you know, got some massive message towards other people to make them better people? No. It's just, that's, call me selfish. That's my go-to moment. That's my go-to movie. But that's my most iconic moment that I cannot. If I hear it anywhere, if I hear you know, like sound bites of it on the radio, I see a little, you know, preview of it for a trailer at least on, you know, like satellite and stuff, I cannot pass it up because it's just that scene just makes me smile and makes me happy. So the question is, what is yours? What is your movie, and what is your scene? And they may not necessarily be even in the same movie. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Sorry, gacky throat, and I'll see you later.